certain extent. We came from a poor family. Maybe that wasn't a thing. I don't know. But most of the kids on the team weren't like
our
poor.
parents were divorced too. So, I mean, we were raised by our mom, and our mom was like not at every game up the coach's ass, which a lot of the parents were. So we were easier targets in that respect.
Right.
And also, like, one of them's 7'1", one of them's 6'10", one of them's 6'8". I was 6'4".
In high school?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Our high school
what
basketball
kind of
team was really
water
crazy.
is up there?
It was destined to be the best team in all of
If our
NorCal.
coach would have been, and he, you know what, I do like the guy. If he's still alive, I did like him as a person, but as a coach, he was not good.
He's listening to this. He's like, look, I'm not that old.
Because everybody in the world listens to my podcast.
We're going to send it
That's
to
just
him.
how I think, sometimes. But he was a nice person, but he was a terrible coach, and we had this.
Fuck you.
We had this.
I'm going to start smoking so I can put a cigarette out on him.
We had this team that was like, there's one in a generational team for a small town, like a 6'10" guy who ended up going to University of Oregon on full scholarship. I was damn near the shortest guy on the team at 6'1", which is perfectly tall, ma'am.
I agree. 6'1"
much?
is in the
And
sexy range.
this guy just squandered it,
Yeah.
It was too bad. But anyways, enough of the old war stories.
Yeah, I don't even know how the hell that came up. I obviously have a chip,
it's still
I have a chip
honestly
on my shoulder.
It's one of those things you would think like, oh, we'd let it go, but to this day, I have not let that
No,
go.
I have a
I'm
chip
not a
on my
quitter.
shoulder about something from high school as well. Like I got this. I was a dancer, and I
Dancer
got
for
this.
money?
Nope.
No.
I got an award my junior year of high school for being the most improved, and I was fucking livid. I was like, "What?
And most improved.
Most improved?
Yeah.
That's bullshit."
Yeah.
And to this day, I'm just angry about that. I didn't think I sucked that bad at the beginning of the year.
I had a friend who was like, I was probably in like 6th grade or 7th grade. And I've been playing soccer with him since U8, since he was like 8 years old. And he's like, you used to suck. You've gotten much better. And I was like, and still to this
That's
day,
rude.
it burns me. I'm like, I was fucking like 10 years old, 12 years old. And I was like, that kid burned me so hard.
I know. It caused a scar.
And it's funny because now that
You should get a tattoo about him.
we're in the wine world, you
It's
kind of
actually Keith Sudama. Shout out to Keith Sudama.
Keith. He would never say that.
He burned me hard.
But now that we're back in the wine world, it's the only thing we've ever done as an adult. It's kind of like high school in a way because you're like getting grades and scores and like
that's
you're trying to
true.
like win affection of people that like you might not care, but they're popular. And it's like every once in a while it feels that we'll get like a score that we didn't think was like, represented the quality of the wine.
the wine business is a fucking popular.
and
I agree with that.
And we will sit around
Totally.
the office and be like, it doesn't matter. Fuck. Motherfucker.
I'm cool. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
even
matter.
matter.
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay, wait. So you guys have a Sauv Blanc
Yeah.
and a Pinot.
Yes. We call it Pinot Noir, but
Pinot Noir. Okay. What
we-
else
we do
is
not.
we
coming?
don't. Oh, we're real
Anything?
winemakers.
I know. I love you guys.
Savi B, I like
Say
to
no.
call it.
And we have a cab coming out in November.
You blew it. There goes the J curve.
No shit.
Would you-
Wait, what's the J curve?
It's some like marketing thing we're going to try and do.
Nobody
You're-
listens to this.
Sick burn.
My daughter just said that today. She's like, "Oh, you're 4 listeners."
Oh, that's hurtful.
we're gonna blow this out to all 4 of our listeners.
You
too.
better share this out to all your people.
You're asking,
Okay, so cab coming in the fall.
Yeah.
Why?
Maybe,
I'm
maybe
sorry.
not.
Maybe not. Maybe
I
it's a
don't know.
Merlot.
Like,
Maybe it's a
was that-
goddamn Merlot.
It was like, did you just like blow the lid off of something you shouldn't have?
Nobody cares.
We just do
Everybody
this.
cares.
We do fun. I mean, we're not. Those are the 2 wines that people know us for. But we're looking at doing other wines. I don't want to
It's
give away
also
any
a secret.
secrets now.
Wait,
Jesse's
why?
staring at me. But there's other wines that we do as well, or looking to do.
I'm looking to do. Okay, so more to come from Lucky Rock Wine Co.
Yeah.
We ain't
Wine
done
Co.
yet. Or maybe we are. I don't know.
No, I can tell you're totally not done. You're totally
We're not
done.
quitters other than basketball.
Other than
Basketball.
high school basketball.
I don't know if you can call that being quitters. Like it's high school.
I
I mean,
did
if you
quit.
quit halfway through college or something, maybe. But
I did that too. Actually.
I did not finish. I'm not a quitter.
Look at me now, though.
yeah, but are you going to go for your PhD someday?
No, I mean,
I wouldn't- I don't
if,
think I'd let
if
you,
people
dude.
have to talk about like second, if I wasn't doing wine, I would probably, I've always seen myself as more in the academic world just because, I do like learning and I do like, I'm not a good teacher per se, but I do like helping other people.
Yeah,
And so there's an element there that's an interest of mine.
but you can totally do that now
Well, and I see
you don't
elements,
have to
honestly, it
spend
sounds
all the
cheesy,
money
but I
and
see
the
elements
time.
of that. So.
to go do that.
And that's part of why I do what I do with the Sonoma State
Yeah.
And just the amount of fucking learning we do with this brand. I always say keep learning or start dying. It's kind of like
I agree with that.
You choose a path, right?
It's true.
The amount of shit that we've learned in the last just 2 years when we really put all of our chips in,
it's true.
Astronomical.
Because we're of that generation, too, that we were kind of sold a little bit of bullshit with higher education, where it was like, if this is the late 90s, early 2000s, when it was kind of like, if you're not going to college, you're a bum. You don't really, your future's bleak.
Yeah.
And that was a load of shit now as a 38-year-old adult because, did I have a good time in college? Did I learn some things? Certainly. Did that define how successful I am? No, not at all. A lot of it was the drive and who I surround myself with and different other different things.
Speaking of learning,
hey, good for you.
I just embarked on this 12-week process. So I met somebody in January, and she's wanted to prep me for a TED Talk type of situation. And so I'm going through this course and back to like learning a lot. Like it's so hard. It's hard. Like I'm learning skills about. I consider myself a decent writer. I've been told I'm a good writer, but it's nothing compared to the shit that I'm learning how to write this speech and then turn around and how to act it out, basically memorize it and all the acting and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, holy crap, this is hard work. And there's not a day that goes by during this process in which I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into?
How long of a talk is it?
It's not going to be a long talk, like anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes.
That's still long, though.
Yeah.
I could do it. Here's the thing. I'm a talker, obviously. I am not afraid of being in front of people and on stage, but I usually wing everything. Like I could wax poetic for days on a topic. But when it comes to memorizing, like having to actually memorize word for word a speech and having to be very clear about like my body movements and all of this kind of thing.
What you want on that kind of thing.
It's so uncomfortable right now. I'm in this place of like just discomfort, but it's back to that. It feels so good that I'm learning something new. And
you could do it because Jesse did a presentation for Sonoma County Tourism, right?
I did one for them too, by the way.
Before COVID was COVID was kind of going down.
Just popping off.
I think several of us had it in there that didn't know. People
right.
were like,
yeah.
Like, oh.
I think it was
November?
30 minutes.
Yeah, no shit. Right. Keeps getting
I'm
pushed
sure
back.
I had it in November.
Yeah, no, I know.
It was like 30 minutes with 15 minutes of questions or something.
And he did it. He's not somebody that I've seen speak.
I'm speaking right now, for example.
but in a structured fashion. And he practiced. I don't know how much, but he did a good job.
Did you memorize it?
I had slides with PowerPoint, which I'd never even done a fucking PowerPoint before. So that helped a lot. But then I just practiced it 3 times. I did it once for my son. And then I got there and it wasn't verbatim every time, but it was, you hit your bullet points and, somebody coughs and you're like, oh, COVID.
Well, that's the thing. You have to learn how to read the room, I think. And
you have to remember to slow it down because no matter how cool of a cucumber you think you are, you're going to be more nervous and you're going to talk fast. Yeah.
The one thing that this coach was telling me, I met her and she did a speech at this event that I was at, and she was talking about how your body will completely
it's like fight or flight kind of thing.
It will, like, your body will fuck you up. Like, you'll either get like a twitch in your hand, or your pits are going to start sweating, or like something is going to happen.
Dry mouth.
I pee my pants.
You have to. So you do the memorization, and then you practice it for people that you know, and then you practice it for people you don't know, and you go through, and it's like you need to put yourself in the most uncomfortable situation because that's what it's going to be like on stage, and your body's going to like just do something that you had no idea.
Maybe do it in a sauna.
Maybe.
I did like in business school, which sounds douchey again, like going to front, but like I had to give a lot of presentations, and I thought I was a good speaker, but not when you're like doing those things on very like specific acute figures. And I would trip because I'd be like, oh, I got to say this amount of revenue. And I would like, I came out of that program the opposite as a public speaker. I thought I was pretty good. And then I came out of there and I was like, I suck because I kept tripping up on all these.
His mind works faster than his mouth.
Mine too.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
He'll like mix words up and shit. And he's like, oh, you know what it fucking mean? I'm like, no, actually, I don't.
No, that happens to me a lot actually. But this goes back to that a little bit of like, let's talk about a TED Talk, for example.
Can you tell us what the name of the thing is that you're doing? Maybe or no?
The Big Talk Academy is what it's called. The Big Talk.
They talk
Academy.
a big talk, but
the woman, her name is Trisha Brooks. She's the coach, and she is a TEDx organizer for TEDx Lincoln Center in New York. And she's a producer, and I mean, the girl's got like serious credentials. And she's super polished.
She probably didn't quit high school basketball.
Super,
not a quitter.
Probably not. Very, very polished. I personally don't want to be ultra polished. Like that's just not who I am.
Right.
And
Really
so
polished
I
is
think
not
about
that entertaining sometimes.
I agree. And so I when I think about being on a stage and giving a talk, if it back to what we talked about before, if it requires me to be this like robot person who's like choreographed with her moves and her breathing and all of this, I'm going through the process. I'm just not sure I'm on board with it.
Yeah,
like,
just meet them halfway.
There has to be a like a little bit of me and a little bit of TEDx.
If you come off like where I get annoyed when I see a talk is more the person that like obviously didn't prepare, and I feel like they're wasting my time. But that's me. Like but if you're somebody that at least knows what you're talking about, but maybe it's not like 100% polished, like who cares? That's where
and if ad-libbing a little bit makes you more entertaining, then fucking go for it.
But if you're up there, like you're supposed to be giving a talk on how to give a podcast, and it's kind of coming off like maybe you've never given a podcast, that's when it's like, okay.
But for example, like when I talk to somebody about something that I'm passionate about,
oh God.
I speak louder, and I do speak faster, and my hands move, but also I see the people, and people are like, oh my God, like I'm totally soaking it up.
It's neurolinguistic programming.
It's basically the opposite of all the rules of doing this talk. And so I'm like, I know my superpower, and my superpower
you can use that
is
stuff
not
on stage, I bet. You know, if you do this whole like nod when you want someone to agree with you, that's neurolinguistic programming. And you're doing like the
I'm going to be like,
you know, maybe not so intensely. Like, I think
I don't know.
Did all
We'll see
four
how
of
it
me do
goes.
that?
Poor Danielle, her
What's your
eyes
superpower?
Her eyes don't work today.
I have a lot of superpowers, but I will say that actually I said something yesterday on a podcast.
Superpower not remembering.
That is also one. No,
my superpower is massive bong loads.
No, I realized that I sounded like a full-on egomaniac when I said this, because I realized, and actually it wasn't on the podcast, it was after, but I realized in the conversation that I have this superpower, and it's almost like, it almost like hypnotizes people. Like, I don't really want to go into it, but as I was saying it too, and I was like, oh my God, I sound like a fucking egomaniac right now. But I do tend to connect with people when I'm speaking to them. And when I'm passionate about an idea, I'm not the type of person to shove an idea down somebody's throat.
But you're good at proselytizing.
I'm not going to require you to get on board with my idea, but I can deliver it in a way that you're damn sure going to listen to it and be like, oh, okay.
Convincing.
And it's usually the people who don't typically get on board with at least considering somebody else's idea. That's how I know I can do this, because there are people that are like, who always believe that
because you can see. I've come across a term in the last maybe years called binary thinking. Mm-hmm. Do you know this term? Mm-mm. It's like you can see things from multiple perspectives, and if you can think like that in any way, shape, or form, it's
you can
so
get other
powerful.
people to think that way as well.
Because you can see their perspective.
That's exactly what it is. I'm going to write that down. Binary thinking.
And ultimately, I'm okay with like.
No, it's not. It's not binary. It's quantum thinking.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I was literally, just as I was going through this, I was going to be like, well, did you hear about quantum entanglement? Yeah. Quantum entanglement is a thing, and I'm exploring this for my talk.
It's a real thing.
And it's totally cool to not agree. Like, that's the other thing. Like,
but to at least be able to see somebody's perspective.
You can see it, but you don't have to agree with it, but you can acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's our society, in my opinion, has gotten super away from being okay with, like, confrontation, like, without, like, physical violence.
I came across a YouTube channel called the Alt-Right Playbook.
Oh.
And it was by the guy that does my tattoos. He's very political. And he... but it gives you, I sent it to a friend and said, sympathy for the devil. You can look at the other person's perspective. Yeah. It's not that they're not contrary to what you're doing. They just have a different belief system. Right. They think top down because they want to fit in the middle or whatever. It was very interesting. And the Always a Bigger Fish is a great one to look at. He's very liberal, but he's like, this is what it's like to think like this. And cool. And it's just
Yeah.
different perspective. Quit drinking your own Kool-Aid, you know?
Totally. I agree with that. I'd like to see other perspectives. And honestly, there is a huge percentage of time in which you can give me an alternate perspective